There's a triple crown and a possible title on the line for both teams in Dublin. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. This should be a pretty interesting game because I think at the start of the tournament, most people thought it was going to be just a bit of a dead rubber. But because mainly of the exploits of Scotland last week, it means, the title is back on, possibly for both teams. And given how the teams have gone through the rest of the Six Nations, obviously that triple crown is there as well. But let's have a look at the details and then we talk a little bit more. So it's Ireland versus Scotland. It's on Saturday, 14th of March, and it is a 2:10 kickoff. That is Ireland UK time, so check your local listings. It's at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Last year it was Scotland 18, Ireland 32. And in 2024, last time they played in Aviva, Ireland 17, Scotland 13. So that one pretty close to the scoreline, but you have to remember Scotland scored their only try of the game in the 77th minute, and that was a converted try. So didn't really give themselves, much time to mount a tilt at possibly winning the game, and maybe put a little bit of gloss on the score from their point of view as well. But tight affair. I don't think it's going to be as tight as that. On Saturday, especially because both teams, well, certainly Ireland, you would feel need a bonus point win as well to give themselves that real chance at the title. Odds then, Ireland are 8-5 on, Scotland 2-1, and the draw is 30-1. So, for the home team, 8-5 on isn't, very short odds, and 2-1 for Scotland is probably, I'm not a betting man, but probably a decent bet, honestly. Now, let's run down through the teams and then we talk about the changes that each of them have made. So, Ireland, front row, Tom O'Toole, Dan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong. The second row then, McCarthy and Byrne. Back row, Conan, Van der Fleer and Doris. Halfbacks, Gibson Park and Crowley. Left wing, Tommy O'Brien. Centres, McCluskey and Ringrose. Right wing is Balakoon and fullback is Osborne. Then on the bench, we've got Kelleher, Milne, Beelum, Murray, Murray, Dara Murray, that is. He's set for his Six Nation debut if he comes off. And then Timony. Then in back replacements, Casey, Frawley and Aki. Okay, so let's talk about the changes Ireland made. So 4 changes to the starting 15. Dan Sheehan back in a hooker. That was, I think, pretty much expected. Joe McCarthy into the second row in place of James Ryan, who's out with an injury. And I think one thing Ireland certainly will miss from, obviously very different players. McCarthy's going to bring a lot more in terms of the scrum and just physicality. But what James Ryan, what we're going to miss there is work rate, hitting rucks, clearing players out and putting fastball there, protecting our ball as well for Gibson Park. So expect Scotland to really attack Ireland at the breakdown because of that, because McCarthy doesn't do as much of that work. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Josh Van der Fleer then back in at 7. Tommy O'Brien in for Stockdale on the left. Maybe a little bit harsh on Stockdale. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we look at the bench spots as well. Keller and Timney dropping down to the bench. Both show that they can have real impact off the bench. And I think Ireland are definitely going to need it in this game if they're to pull out a win. Then Dara Murray, as I said, coming onto the bench, set for his Six Nation debut. Bundy Aki back onto the bench, which is an interesting one after, he was available last week after his suspension, but he's back in this week now. But yeah, for me, maybe Stockdale was a bit an option on the bench, given that he could cover more, positions than Aki. It's kind of weird because you have players already. You've got the likes of Frawley, who could cover off the bench as well. So yeah, it's kind of a bit weird one. I definitely would have, personally, certainly would have either had Stockdale on the bench and O'Brien starting on the left wing or Stockdale starting left wing and O'Brien on the bench. I don't see, what Aki really gives you off the bench, in terms of above them at the minute. He has been exceptional player in the past for Ireland, but we've seen before where he can give away silly penalties, and maybe at crucial moments as well. So, but again, we've seen him come in, point to prove, and really, play the house down as well. So, which Aki are we going to get off the bench is really the question at the minute. Then let's move on to the Scotland team. So Scotland, front row, Schoeman, Turner and Fagerson. Second row, Williamson and Gilchrist. Back row, Matt Ferguson, Darge and Dempsey. Halfbacks, White and Russell. Left wing, Stain. Centres, Tupelotu and Jones. Right wing, Graham. Fullback is Kinghorn. Then on the bench, we have Ashman, Sutherland and Ray in the front row. Craig and Bradbury as your second row and back row replacement. And then the backs replacements, Horn, Rowe and Jordan. So 5-3 split for both teams in this one. Okay, so let's talk about the changes that they made. So Scotland made 3 changes. So first off, Xander Fagerson back in to start at tight head instead of Ray. Max Williamson, Grant Gilchrist into the second row. That is injury enforced. Both Gregor Brown and Scott Cummings out with injury, and I thought those two were a really good locking combination. I have been impressed with Williamson when he's played, through the Six Nations, and also seen him, in the URC as well. And Gilchrist, we know what he can do as well. So, certainly, from a Scotland point of view, you would obviously prefer to have your starting second rows there, because they're the guys who really are in form. But at the same time, you have quality replacements there as well. When, the only thing from that then is, one of these two guys would have been coming off the bench to give real impact as well. Then we've got Kyle Stain past fit. That's great to hear, because when he went off on that cart last weekend, felt like maybe that's the Six Nations over. Maybe it's going to be a long layoff as well and affect the rest of the season. Glasgow going so well too. And for a player like that, who's really had to wait for his turn for Scotland, because of, how exceptional Van der Merwe and Graham have been, to miss out for me, he's certainly got to be up there in the conversation. First of all, for Scotland's player determined, and also for player determined as well overall. The guy has been absolutely brilliant. And yeah, for him to miss a decider like this, I'm an Ireland fan, but doesn't mean that I hope that opposition players get injured. I don't like that kind of thinking. I'd rather be beaten by, Scotland with hopefully all of their best players fit, than lose to a Scotland team that's win against a Scotland team that's ravaged by injury. So absolutely delighted that he's going to be in there. May not be as delighted if he goes over for a try or two against us, but that's rugby, right? Next then, as I said, Ray dropping down to the bench. I thought he did pretty well in the front row against France as well. So, that Ireland scrum really has, struggled throughout the Six Nations. Although it's mostly been, certainly recently Furlong, who's been so on the tight head side, who've been struggling. Ray, obviously, tight head would be going up against our loose head. But overall, I think, the Ireland scrum definitely is a project that needs to be sorted out over time. But Scotland, certainly, like every other team, will feel like they can have a go at that Ireland front row. Then Bradbury and Kyle Rowe come onto the bench. Kyle Rowe, another guy, who has been around, very solid, very similar to Stain in terms of, skill set and stuff. Maybe not the kind of X factor that Van der Merwe and Graham have, but certainly, a quality player to bring off the bench. So, and I think this speaks again to the depth that Scotland really have built. And a lot of that, has come, I think, from Glasgow. Glasgow, I think, have done really well at bringing players through their squad. And there's other guys there as well to come through that we've seen, have a real impact this year in the URC and in Europe as well. And I feel like, this year won't be the peak for this Scotland squad because you have those players coming through. Now, that doesn't mean that, they're going to finish higher next year than they do this year, but it feels like there's more quality on the way at least. But then it all depends on how things go, right? Like, who thought that after Scotland losing to Italy in that first round, that we'd be talking about them, first of all, going for a triple crown, first win in Dublin, since, 2010, and, first win in 11 games or wherever it is against Ireland as well. And also a tilt at the title. Like, nobody gave them a chance. Like, they were written off after that. It was all Townsend out from then on. And now he's got his team. You got to give him credit, because I certainly criticised him. I still think that, Franco Smith would be a better fit for Scotland going forward. But at the same time, if you criticise the guy, you've got to give him credit then for the results that he's gotten, and especially that game against France. I said in the preview last week, that Scotland's game really does suit playing France, and we saw that, and maybe, Scotland might regret actually having allowed France to get that bonus point out of that game and close up on the points differential, because had they not, Scotland would have had a very simple, very mathematically, let's say, simple task, right? I'm not saying it's going to be simple for them to do it, but it would have been easy mathematically in terms of get a bonus point win, you're the champions, and that's it. Like, France, no matter what they did against England, wouldn't have mattered. At the moment, though, if they get a bonus point win and France get a bonus point win, then more than likely France are going to be champions, just because of that massive points difference between the teams. So, and the fact that France, in getting that, will be beating England means that they're going to increase their own points difference. So Scotland, they can't just beat Ireland. They'll have to beat Ireland by, I think, 50 points or more to even be in with a shout of that happening. But if you attack on the fact that France would be England in that scenario with a bonus point, then you would expect France to increase theirs as well, and France to be the champions. So Scotland's route to the title, not as clear as it would have been had they denied France try bonus point in that game, but still their route is much easier than Ireland's. For Scotland to win, basically for them, it's beat Ireland and England beat France. Scotland are the champions. Simple as that, job done. For Ireland, not as clear, because Ireland could beat Scotland, right, without a bonus point. And if France then get 2 bonus points and losing to England, France would still be the champions, because then both teams would end up on 18 points. And again, points difference come in and Ireland would lose out on that. So for Ireland to be champions, they got to be Scotland, and for France to get basically 3 points less than them. So if Ireland beats Scotland without a bonus point, then France can only get 1 bonus point at the max. Otherwise, Ireland won't win the title. And then if Ireland win with a bonus point, then as long as England beat France, then Ireland will be champions. So more or less, the winner of this game is hoping that England beat France to give them a shot at the title. If France win, it doesn't matter what happens in this game. Other than the fact that if Scotland win by a bonus point and France don't, Scotland will be champions. That's the only scenario where France could win and not win the title. So Scotland know that for their best chance, win with a bonus point, and Ireland really kind of just hoping, for a win, I think, and then for England to win as well, is their only kind of route to it. So a lot on the line here, but whatever happens with the championship, the big thing to remember is the winner is going to get a triple crown. And again, looking back at that first round of games, you wouldn't have said Ireland would be in with a shout for a triple crown. It was looking like Ireland's worst Six Nations in a very, very long time. Scotland as well. It was pitchforks out for Gregor Townsend after that Italy game. So for both teams who recovered so well and to put themselves in the position that they are, you got to give them great credit. And, for me, like Ireland and Scotland are very similar in terms of, the way we kind of punch above our weight, in these competitions. Scotland maybe, Scotland obviously haven't won as much recently, and a triple crown for them would be absolutely massive. But for Ireland too, in a year where, we were disrupted by the lines, we kind of, with a lot of injuries, we managed to bring a lot of players through as well. So if we were to finish with a triple crown and potentially second place in the table, that too would be massive for Ireland. It would feel almost like winning the title, given where we were, before the tournament and even further down after the first round as well. So I think for both teams, it would be just winning this game will be a massive lift for them. Scotland, they have struggled to beat Ireland in recent years, but I feel like that fear factor of Ireland is gone now, and it means that Ireland can't or probably won't succeed in doing what they did previously, which was just bully Scotland and have it like last year, tight affair, and Ireland come out on top. They did something similar a couple of years ago over in Edinburgh, even though it was a higher scoring game. Still, it was kind of a bully thing. So I don't think Ireland can do that this year. And Scotland, because I think Scotland, they've got like that confidence now in their physical ability, having done what they did to France last week. Now, how much that took out of their tank is another question for them. But it feels like a very close game. And I think it's going to be like last year. It's going to be one score. And in terms of my prediction, it's probably my Irish bias. And, because I feel like this game could even be a draw at this stage. But I'm going to say Ireland to just about pip Scotland. But I don't think Ireland are going to win the title on the back of it either. But yeah, my prediction, an Ireland win, but Scotland really making them work for it.